Most people think fear of starting a business is a confidence problem, but it's not. It's an expectation problem. And once you see that, the fear stops running the show. So a lot of people want to start a business. I know, and I talk to so many people who want to do this, and I give them tools and I give them ideas and they sit on training sessions, but lots of people just freeze and cannot get started. And so I've spent a lot of time thinking about this. How can I help people get going? So in 2025, the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor report found that 49% of people say they would not start a business for fear it might fail. And that's up from 44% in 2019. And the real cause isn't a lack of skill. Everybody who's looking at starting their business, they're brimming with ideas. They're not short of ability, they're short of self-confidence. And also this unrealistic expectation that you should already know what you don't know yet. So I've had experience with this. Over the last 13 years, I've been running my own businesses from home and self-taught, bought a few courses, had a few mentors, had some coaches along the way. But there's been projects where I've set out without an absolute clue, and there's been some luck and some trial and error and some testing and some dead ends, and certainly not 100% efficiency with how I've done a lot of stuff. But I've stumbled my way through and learnt it on the way, and had a slightly messy approach. And that's okay, because nobody can know something they haven't done before. So I had a software business called Publishing Performance, which helps Amazon authors run ads for their books on Amazon. And I had experience of being the customer here because I had books selling on Amazon and I hated running the ads myself. It was really hard work and detailed and analytical and expensive if you got it wrong. And so I knew about what the customers needed, but I had zero experience building software. I'm terrible with tech. I can barely, when I say barely manage my passwords, I actually can't manage my own passwords. I've got such a loop of having to reset them all the time. So me briefing developers, sketching out the wireframe of something was just pie in the sky stuff. So I got a little bit of help and I went very slowly with choosing who to work with. And I did milestone payments and I explained in plain English and had people explain to me, but they were probably very frustrated working with me. But I had to manage the budget and work out if I was being overcharged or if people were taking longer than they should be to get to the next step. So I'm a naturally very risk-averse person. I'm Scottish heritage. So, I do not like wasting a dollar. So I took very small steps with money and trust instead of one big leap. And so I made some stonking mistakes along the way. I've paid for work that was unusable, hired some people that had to be heave-hoed out of there, Upwork contractors that just weren't the right fit. And so some of it was inefficient for sure, but imagine if I hadn't done it, there would have been no software out there to automate ads for authors. And that business ended up being a real success. I've actually just sold it a few months ago for multiple six figures. It was a very profitable business. It was recurring revenue every month. It was a really, really cool project. And although I was out of my depth massively at the start, and even at the end, could I fix a bug? Not a hope. But are there other people out there? Absolutely. And can AI do most of this stuff and even tell you what stuff should cost or how to brief something? AI is a real confidence, booster, as well as competence boosting tool in your team right now, because you can get so much input and experience and research done for you in split seconds. So if I'd never launched that project, nothing would have ever happened. I could have sat and daydreamed about, imagine a tool doing this. Imagine all my clients who are also publishing books on Amazon, how much they need this. So imperfect and live certainly beats a perfect business plan written and left in the top drawer. So an idea that's 80 or 90% brilliant but never released has a 0% chance of making $1 or working at all. Plus it's almost a negative because you'll always be kicking yourself that you never did it. So a rough version that's live actually has a real chance. And if you're going out as an entrepreneur with a new offer, whether it's a tool or a product or a service, when you do the first release and people know they're buying from an entrepreneur, they'd always rather buy from a small business or somebody they know and like and trust than a big corporate generally. If you can say this is the beta test, or you're a founding member, or do a week free and see if you like it and stick around if you do. So there's ways to sort of soften your release of your offer into the world without it being full price, full noise. But the people that say it's not quite ready yet never make it happen. So if you feel ready, I can tell you that you're already too late. You've got to go out with that, getting used to that feeling of being awkward and nervous and not ready yet, but you are. So the fear underneath you going live with a business is always about being judged for something. You being judged for putting out something rough, but most people never put out anything. So Customers are more forgiving than you think. They like new small businesses, and they'd rather back a real entrepreneur than a big corporation. And being upfront and being yourself and being raw and honest and conversational with your clients is so much better than some polished marketing, but then there's nothing behind it. People do business with people. And so if your intentions are good, you create something that you really want to help other people, you've got some connection and experience with the topic, you don't need to be a world-class expert, you don't need a qualification, you don't need 10 existing customers to get your first customer, you just need to go live. And if something breaks, it can be fixed personally, you can defer a payment or give a credit. And that flexibility is part of what makes launching a bit rough feel much safer. So you can't control how confident you feel. You can tell yourself in your head, you could hypnotize yourself, you could get a coach, talk yourself into being confident. That would sort of go some of the way. But you can't really control all your thoughts. I mean, if we could, we would all be doing amazing things all day, every day, non-stop. We'd have none of those human foibles and quirks and little loops that hold us up and hold us back. But you can decide to commit. So feeling confident's one thing, hard. Deciding to commit, easy. This is something you can do right now, right here, right now. Commit to doing something with your business, giving it a go. So the fix isn't waiting for more research or waiting longer or getting more experience under your belt. It's by taking a small risk-managed step and picking up your pace and shipping something imperfect. So one small, low-risk version of the idea that could go out in front of real people. And I think with AI, you could have your offer live within 30 days. I can't think of any business model out there that you couldn't have a minimum viable, rough draft, first version, beta test ready to put in front of real people within a few weeks. So do that now instead of waiting to feel ready. So commit. The first step is to really make sure that you're building something that suits you, because then day to day there'll be far less friction of you needing to find the energy, build up the confidence to do the video recording or whatever you have to do, or to send out the email. All the work that you have to do to promote and deliver on your business needs to be in line with who you are as a person. So building on your strengths, working with the natural advantages you've got, your natural personal interests, and also maybe some of the professional skills or some of the personality things that would help you enjoy what you're doing, and therefore it's easier and you're better at it. So in business, we ideally want the sweet spot of the holy grail, the 3 overlapping circles in the Venn diagram of you like it, you're good at it, and it pays well. So don't start something that can be replaced by AI next week, because that's happening faster than we can even imagine. So use something to do with you. Use your personality, your life experience, your lived experiences. It's all the rage, that little phrase at the moment. And do something that really helps people in a real and meaningful way. Something transformational, something around accountability or implementation. Help them make a personal change or a professional change. Give them a shortcut. Something that you can do that you know delivers real value. So this isn't a session about business tactics or the best business model. This is just about getting started, and you can figure out the best business model once you've committed to getting started. So the next step you could do right now, which would be the first step in your commitment, is to go straight from this video to do the Aspiring Entrepreneurs Strengths Finder quiz. So this is an entrepreneurial profiling tool that will give you some insight about yourself, your strengths, your skills, and also then point you in the direction of some good business models and some opportunities that might be a good fit for you. So I'm completely unbiased about which might be the best thing for you, and it's going to be different for every single person who does this quiz. And then once you've got those results, you can start doing some really detailed step-by-step work towards a 30-day soft launch. And make it a soft launch, make it easy, make it unscary, but make it happen. Otherwise, nothing will ever happen. So don't be sitting here kicking yourself a year from now or even 6 months from now, wondering what would have happened if you'd started that little business, because you can keep your overheads so low. I'm going to not start going through all the excuses you could make. There are millions of them, but you can either make money or make excuses. So let's make today the day that you decide to do this and commit. So click on the link and do the Strengths Finder quiz next.